Hello again, everyone. This is Gilmer, and what we are looking at is Grand Tactician, the Civil War 1861 through 1865. And I apologize in music. I would probably have to turn the sound completely off to get rid of the music, as probably you have seen in other videos. There's a little bit of tweaking that needs to happen as it relates to the music, as in when you select game options. As you can see, I have music off, and I also have it low as it can go on the slider scale, and we still have music. I don't mind the music, I just don't want it to really overshadow the video that I'm making. And so anyway, I received a beta code for this. Thank you very much to the Grand Tactician people. They did send me a code, and I am very grateful. And a little different about me as opposed to other YouTube creators or makers of video, or whatever you want to call them, is I really don't have a lot of different games that I'm doing at any one given time. I kind of get obsessed over one game and play it through all the way. And I mean, I do have other games that I play on the side, but I'm not making any videos of them because, honestly, right now I'm doing another playthrough of Kingdom Come Deliverance, which I really like. I've got 700 and something hours in it, and I also play Kerbal Space Program, and I don't do videos of it either. And because I mostly made this channel to celebrate and put some illustration on Asia games, which I didn't. When I first started, you couldn't find anybody doing videos on them. I mean, you could. There was a man named Charles Cummings who was doing some, and there were a couple other people. And now a lot more people are doing it. I'm not saying it's something that started because I started doing it, but I think I probably helped a little bit, because I used to go onto YouTube and I'd do a search for Rise of Prussia or Revolution Under Siege. Couldn't find anything except something Matrix put out, because Matrix is the publisher of that game. You couldn't really find anything else, so that's why I created this channel, was to play a lot of Asia games. But I'm also into other war games, not just the specific Asia games with their Athena engine, and then later on they've got their, I forget what they call the new engine, but the new engine that has Field of Glory Empires on it. So anyway, I am very excited to bring to you Grand Tactician, the Civil War. I think it is very well presented. It looks already polished to me, but I think there are some things going on with the game that I know that they're going to be working on, because it tells me in this field book under beta version, you are now playing the beta version of Grand Tactician, the Civil War 1861-1865. The beta version is used for game testing, finding and fixing bugs, and does not yet represent the game in its final form. Remember that, because whatever you see, it could change, and they are optimizing it for probably everything that they can get their hands on. They're probably going to optimize it more for, frame rate. They're probably going to optimize. I know it says in the beta version information that they're going to work on the AI, because I think the AI might need a little bit of tweaking, but who knows? I'm not a programmer. I'm not going to tell you definitively that, oh, the AI is poor or the AI is great. I don't know. I just play the games. If they're fun, and I keep playing them. If they're not fun, I don't keep playing them. But this looks like it's going to be a blast, to be honest. So anyway, the game will release in early access on August 21st, 2020, and I think it will still be getting improved even after then. The early access period is used to collect feedback and to fix, balance, and finalize the game before the final release. In the beta version, there are no historical standalone battles in two campaign. There are 10 historical standalone battles. I was about to say, I'm pretty sure I saw some historical battles already. I loaded up Manassas for a few minutes last night, right after I downloaded it. But it was really late at night when I downloaded this. It was already past 12 a.m. So I downloaded the game. I fired it up just to see if it would run. I had my headphones on for the opening screen, and that bullet sound nearly blew out my eardrums. So the first time you play it, or the first time you start up this game, have your headphones off and make sure that you don't, because I have so many games that I have the sound up 100%, like Kingdom Come Deliverance, because if you don't, you can't hear anything. And it's not necessarily a fault of theirs. It's just maybe my hearing's bad. I don't know. I think it's not that bad, but who knows. In the beta version, there are 10 historic standalone battles and 2 campaign starting points, 1861 and 1862. The early access release version will have 1 more battle and an 1863 campaign. An 1864 campaign will be added during the early access period. Another feature missing from the beta is the non-historic battle maps, which will be used in campaign battles when a historic battle map is not available near the engagement area. Also, the campaign gameplay is not yet well balanced, and the campaign AI will be improved over the early access period. That's something I just mentioned just a few minutes ago. AI will be improved. I do think the AI does need some tweaking, and I think they know that too. And the only reason I say that is because I was watching historical history gaming guy. I might be getting that wrong, but I was watching his videos, and it seemed like the South wanted to go into battle outnumbered 6 or 7 to 1, and I'm thinking, if I'm the general, I'm running in the other direction if I'm outnumbered 6 or 7 to 1. Please submit any bug reports to the game's Steam discussion internal testing forum. Here they will be addressed by the developers. So, welcome to Grand Tactician, 1860. The Civil War 1861 to 1865, a real-time strategy game. In this field book, you will find a quick guide to setting up a new game and getting started. Browse the guide topics on the left by clicking on the headlines. This will open the information for the page describing the topic in detail. You can open and close this field book by clicking the highlighted play button on the left side. I am, sir, your very obedient servant, Oliver Keppel Muller. And I have a really tough last name as well, so I apologize if I'm stumbling over your name, sir, because everybody stumbles over mine, and I don't mind that. It's just something that we all have to deal with, I think, if we have names that are a little hard to pronounce. Placeholder image. Roadmap placeholder. In this segment, the early access roadmap will be shown along with important development milestones. Perfect. Great. Tutorial videos coming soon. Tooltips. You will have tooltips to look at on pretty much everything you hover your cursor over. So that's pretty cool. Options and realism. Fog of war. Order delays. Feuds. Something that this game does that a lot of other games do not, like Total War does not. Order delays. You're basically, when you're in the battle or even in the strategic map, you're the overall commander, and you're sending your orders out to people in the field. And if you're the general on the field in a tactical battle, you're sending your orders out to people by messenger. And it takes a little while. I mean, in this day and age, they did have telegraph, and you can add telegraphs and improve your telegraph system throughout the game. But in this day and age, when you got to the battlefield, the only way you could get messages around was by horseback. And so they would send messages back and forth between the different units by horseback, and they would write out in longhand what they wanted that unit to do. And it takes a while for that guy on horseback, even though horseback's pretty quick, especially in a fairly small area, but it still takes 5 to 10 minutes 3 to 4 minutes for a guy on horseback to get to the unit, relay the information, and sometimes the information isn't necessarily specific. It can be vague, and I think that has problems sometimes. We have interventions. I think interventions probably speaks to the British or the French intervening at some point in the war, which was a possibility, but it never did happen. But I think Britain was fairly close at some point in deciding to come in and help one side or the other. I think most people think they were on the south side, although England at this point had gotten rid of slavery. So I think that, they were being very pragmatic in the sense of they might support the South at that point because they didn't, United Kingdom didn't have slavery anymore. So that would be something that they would have had to deal with at some point if they had become allied with the South and the South was able to actually gain its independence, because the United Kingdom would have had to come to grips with the reality that an ally of theirs actually engaged in slavery. Order delays, we've already talked about that. Feuds. Feuds is if a general didn't like another general, they didn't get along, and sometimes that affected their decision making. And there are some well-known feuds that I can't think of off the top of my head, but there are some fairly well-known feuds within the Civil War community in the sense of the people that are historians based on the Civil War. They know of all the feuds, and there were some that actually hurt, the a battle chance that some of the participants had. And if I want to do some research, I'll probably find that out and come back and tell you. Somebody probably might tell me in the messages or the comments to the video. Fog of War and order delays are recommended for a realistic play experience. Yes, indeed. The autosave option can be used periodically to save the campaign. Automatic saves will take place when returning to the main menu, entering battles, or returning from battles regardless of this option. Below you see the hotkeys used in the game, and you may change them to your liking. It doesn't have them, but I'm sure we can find them. Okay, so here we go. They're going to explain all of the options under options of real. So interventions. If interventions are allowed in the game options, the European powers may intervene in the American Civil War. The British and French may join the Confederacy, like I said, in its fight against the United States, and the Spanish may retaliate if the southern states invade their colonies before the war. The chance of intervention can be increased or decreased via diplomatic policies and acts, as well as diplomacy subsidies. The chance is shown in the alarm information as an icon. If the intervention is possible, a major victory is required to encourage an intervention. When they say a major victory, they mean like a big battle that you win is what will trigger a European nation to intervene if they're ready to intervene. Fog of War, when enabled, information about the enemy forces is less accurate, which makes the game more interesting and allows surprises. In the campaign, intelligence is gathered about enemy units. The location and strength of any spotted units can be updated, but there may be delays or inaccuracies. Cunning commanders are better at hiding their intentions and strength, and some commanders may tend to overestimate enemy numbers. In battles, the Fog of War has two functions. Firstly, all units have a maximum visibility range. This is shown as a gray shroud on the paper map. It can be deactivated via the map information controls. Secondly, the concealment of terrain, unit size, smoke, dust, fog, and commander abilities. This may allow units to remain unseen even if within visual range, and units that are lying down or in cover will be harder to spot. Order delays. When enabled, all orders will need to be prepared and delivered before they are carried out. In the campaign, The delays are shown as a timer for given orders. If the unit is within range of a telegraph station that is connected via other stations to the capital city, order delays will be considerably shorter. The readiness of the unit and commander's initiative may shorten the delays. In battles, orders are delivered mainly via couriers. It takes time to write the orders and time for the courier to reach the unit. Some simple orders can be signaled using the bugle, which I actually watched the video of the guy that did the bugle sounds for them, and that was pretty cool. It's somebody that is an Civil War reenactor, and he's the bugle guy in the reenactments that he participates in, and he's good as hell. He knows what he's doing. He can blow that damn bugle. I'm telling you, if you get time, pull that video up. It's pretty cool. Commanders show two radii when selected: command radius and bugle radius. The bugle could only be used for signals within its range. When an order is given, its delivery is shown on the command line from headquarters to the unit as a moving arrow animation. When the arrows stop, it means the order has reached the unit. When the arrows are removed, the order is being carried out. If a headquarters gives an order to all subordinate units, they will carry out the order once all units have reported they are ready. Feuds. When strong personalities clash, it is possible that orders may not be carried out as they were intended. Feuds may lead to commanders intentionally delaying the execution of orders, or the commander in question may instigate reckless actions of their own that ignore the given orders. Existing feuds are shown with an icon above the unit. See tooltip for more details. Feuds are more likely in the case of professional career officers or officers that were elevated to their position due to political ties. The more aggressive and famous the commanders are, the more likely their personalities will clash, maybe causing unpredictable results in battles. Feuds were quite common and occasionally decisive during the Civil War, which I had already mentioned. I guess I don't want to read all of this. Campaigns. You may give the AI. So this is basically the startup of the campaign. And then you have historical battles or historic battles. Let's see. Start with a historical battle. First Manassas, Wilson's Creek, Pea Ridge, Perryville. Second Manassas, Antietam, Chancellorsville, Gettysburg, Chickamauga, and Bentonville. Wilson's Creek. Let's see. Pea Ridge. Sterling Price. Perryville. Who's this guy? Oh, that's McCook. And it's Polk and Hardy. These are all guys that I know pretty well. Second Manassas. There's Stonewall Jackson. You got James Longstreet. And you've got, that's Nathan Bedford Forrest. No, that's Jeb Stuart. My fault. For some reason, I mess up the pictures, I guess. Confederate major victory. Wow, that is a very bloody battle. 14,462 to 7,298. So what do we want to do on our first video? I almost feel like I want to stream. I almost want to play hours. I'm that excited about having this game. Let's see. Size of armies, military balance. So I guess if you start the game in 1861, everything is just starting. The southern states haven't necessarily seceded yet, but they're getting really angry. And I think in spring of 1861, around April, May is when they all started. April, I think, is when the Battle of Fort Sumter occurs, and that is something that sets off basically a firestorm in the southern states, and that's when most of them start or most of them secede. So let's see. It seems like everybody's been playing the Union side, and I kind of know why. And a history gaming guy said it is because he doesn't necessarily he's not familiar with the game, and the North is more forgiving, and so he wants to kind of get a handle on the game before he starts playing the South, which it makes sense. Whenever I play any Civil War game, I usually start with the United States, and then start on the Confederate side, so that I can get all of the quirks or things that I need to know learned before I take on the much tougher side. It won't let me change this because I've selected that. So when I select them, as you can see, it increases bonuses all the way up to 50. You can't make it less. So aggressiveness is 1 times, 2 times, goes all the way up to 5 times. And historic, choose up to 3 policies. Okay. So if I'm playing the South, I have 3 policies already chosen for me. Alliance with the natives, King Cotton, and the Old Dominion. So the road to war, February 23rd, 1861, a house divided. The Union is dissolved. I said that pretty loud. The troubled and quarrelsome union between the northern free states and the southern slave states did not survive the election of open anti-slavery Republican Abraham Lincoln. Since the Compromise of 1850, which prevented secession and disunion, the question over future of slavery in the United States has divided the nation. On December 20th, 1860, the fragile Union broke apart, with South Carolina seceding. Other deep slave states followed, with Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana seceding in January 1861, and the state of Texas in February 1861. I was thinking there's some that, well, I guess there are some that secede after Fort Sumter, which I think is, I think it's April of 1861 is when Fort Sumter happened. Things moved fast since. In the seceded states, U.S. property is seized by the state officials, with even armories and fortifications changing hands. Only four forts remain in U.S. Army control, 3 of them in Florida, where Lieutenant Adam J. Slemmer has refused to surrender Fort Pickens off the Pensacola Harbor, and Forts Taylor and Jefferson in Key West in the Dry Tortugas, quickly captured by the U.S. garrisons posted nearby, and Fort Sumter in Charleston Harbor, where Major Robert Anderson is awaiting for supplies and orders. President Buchanan is unable to control the turn of events and is a mere spectator when the nation is descending into a civil war. Well, I'm going to play the South. I never play the South, so I'm going to play the South. Late 1860s, Southern states persuade Virginia to secede, making it the leader in the rebellion. Plans are made to establish a Confederate government in the city of Richmond. Support for secession is greatly increased in Virginia. Virginia's eventual secession greatly demoralizes the Union, whose capital city lies only miles from the Virginian border. Which it seems very strange to me that the 2 capitals were so close together. You'd think somebody could have figured out how to grab the capital city from one of the others fairly quickly, but it didn't happen. We are not fighting for slavery. We are fighting for independence, and that or extermination we will have. Well, that was what he said in 1864. You weren't exterminated, and you didn't get your... I'll be quiet. Abraham Lincoln. Pre-beard. I'll try not to speak over. They're going up from the Revolutionary War through the Civil War. Yep. I'm of I'm Polish descent and Native American descent. Look at that. Some of these people I don't know, but some I do. I should know more about it. So that's the intro screen to the game. I don't know if this is where it actually goes into the game or not. Oh, here we go. So, campaign UI, game options, first steps, 1861 campaign, all the way down through here. Let's see. Oh, look at that. The screen is I saw that going on in somebody else in History Gaming guys. I'm gonna have to ask him how to fix that because he said he fixed it. This scenario starts before the hostilities open. The United States is in turmoil. Abraham Lincoln has been elected president, and 7 southern states have declared secession from the Union to form the Confederate States of America. I am not going to read all this. You're probably sick of me reading all of this to begin with. Let's do this. You can pause the screen. When the war erupts, restrictions in the use of military are removed, and both sides can move their armies, form new fleets, and begin military operations. So I hope you got all of that. Hope you could read all of that and pause the video. America divided. This screen thing is very disconcerting at times. So you get this little illustrated newspaper every, periodically, and it tells you certain things that are going on, and part of it is it tells you how national sentiment is going, because sometimes, like if they report of a big battle in here, then sentiment on whoever sides wins, their support goes up for the war, and the ones losing, the support goes down for the war, their morale goes down, what have you. General Twigg surrenders U.S. armament. I don't think you can actually click on any of these stories and actually get them. You get what you get. The Union is dissolved. February 23rd. We hear reports of Texas secession, referendum votes being counted, and the state preparing to leave the Union. While it's not yet official, Texas can be already considered the 7th state in the Confederate States of America. So that is very interesting. I don't know how to get that off the screen at this point. Maybe just if we... Alright. Let's stop that. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay, I right-clicked on it and it went off the screen. Wow, wait a minute. I thought I paused you. So here is the main strategic map. As you can see, the states that are in red are the Confederate states. They have 7 states, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and Florida makes 7. Indian Territory, it looks like this is Oklahoma. It's basically part of the Confederate States because I think that they had more connections with the Indians. And let's see, finances. We could go through all of these. I don't know everything about these things. I'm learning as you learn it because this is a brand new game. The other YouTubers just got this game, I think, on the 1st or the 2nd. And so I'm just looking at these screens just like you are, just to see tariffs, 1236K, sales taxes, 68,827K, income taxes, corporate taxes, land sales, total revenues 70,063K. So that means 3 more zeros after that. So that's 70 million, I guess, is what they're trying to tell us. And expenses are 59 million. No, surplus 59,450K or 59,450,000. I'm going to mess that up constantly. National debt 10 million. Interest rate 8.89%. Credit rating is AAA. Money on hand, I guess, is 1,199,000. Tariffs 19.8%. Economy is an expansion. Wealth, high incomes. That's because they have a lot of plantation owners. These are the policies. And the Confederate state policies, we get 7 policies. Plus we started with the 3, I do believe. Nope. Cancel policy, yep. The ones that are in color, I believe, are the ones I can select at this time, which I don't have a lot of choice. But as you go through, your choices can make or break you, to be honest, from what I've seen. So you want to plan, because you can't select all of them. Use policy 0 of 7. I don't know if that's 7 for each chapter or 7 total, but you have to be judicious in how you choose your policies. You'll never have enough of everything, so you want to have enough of the things that you need that can help you win the war. And if there are any deficiencies, it's stuff that possibly you can do without. The Union's in the same boat, except as we all know, their economy was much better than the South. They were more industrial at this point. They had a lot more railroads and rail lines, and they also had a better network of things like canals and river transport, that type of thing. They had that all down. And if you go, let's see. Okay, so this is the listing of all your kind of factories and plantations. And let's see. I think it just this is just listing the ones in the South because that's what we are. So this is all of my production. It shows what I'm producing in all of these. And if the enemy captures these, and I think that just means their army comes into that region and they take ownership of that region, you lose that income. You lose that production. So it's something to think about because it also gives you strategic objects or targets for planning. Let's say, I'm just going to make something up. Let's say in northern Georgia somewhere, they're producing rifles or something along those lines, or they're producing gunpowder, and you capture that. That could be a target. That would be a target necessarily, possibly, because then if you can deprive them of ammunition, you can deprive them of gunpowder. then their army effort suffers. So that is very interesting when you come to planning. That is something to take into account. And then this is the really kind of the marketplace. It shows you all of the goods that are being produced and the prices and the trade volume, average price, demand, production in markets, in depots, trade volume, sales tax, tariffs, valuation. I think that might be valuation. And I'm not really sure what that is because I would think all of them would be pretty valuable, but some of them have these five little icons here that say that they're more valuable, I think, than others. Coal, food, iron, lead, livestock. And that probably means that is for direct army usage. Coal for the ships or navy, military usage. Coal for the ships, food for the troops, iron for bullets and things like that, and casting of rifles and casting of cannon. Lead, and that probably is actually more for bullets. Lead, I think, was used mostly for bullets at that. And livestock, obviously, for troops and feeding of troops. Small salt, not really sure. Oh, I bet I know, because I think that is one of the ingredients in ammunition. And then you have actual small arms ammunition. So one of the things that they have in this game is that, let's say you have ammunition and three or four different products go into ammunition to manufacture that. Well, the game is also manufacturing those products. So let's say you have, you know, I don't know exactly what goes into gunpowder, but I'm thinking of saltpeter and maybe lime or something along those lines, or something that goes into gunpowder. And there are three or four ingredients. So you got to produce those ingredients before you can produce the gunpowder. And you have to get those ingredients in gunpowder to the plant that produces the gunpowder. So you also have to worry about transport, that type of thing, how the product gets from one place to another to be produced to make a further product, a further manufactured item. So it's very intricate, the economy that we are faced with in this game. That is something to very much think about. So here's strategy. This is a strategy icon. This is your armies at the, what is it, February 23rd, 1861. Oh, I see. That's what that button does. So if you, let's get rid of that. So if you click this button, then you can do this crazy, twirl and twisting thing if you go into upper right corners. But if you press this button, it locks it into, you can't do counterclockwise turns or clockwise turns for the map. It's just up or down and across. You are not going to be looking at Alabama up here and Ohio down here. You're not going to be looking top down to the map. You're going to be looking at the map the way pretty much everybody sees them in any kind of map or book or anything else. Everybody always looks at it with the north at the top and the south at the bottom. And so that's what that does. Cool. I like that, because I didn't like this. I'm not a big fan of this. Well, now it's not doing it. Why is it not doing it? Huh. Oh well. Anyway, I like it. I'm not a big fan of it doing twirls or whatever it was doing. So strategy. So it's still early in the war, and so we don't have big armies yet. Well, we don't really have armies at all. We have 1,350 men fielded. They have 2,460, and that's probably all of that is probably garrisons and not land battle type units. It's more garrison type units and forts and things like that, and in depots and cities and that type of thing, probably to just keep the peace in the areas that they're stationed in. Their commander is General Winfield Scott, and he's a fairly well-known commander. His age is 74. His fame is legendary. He's been around for a really long time, and he was. I think he was a general during the Spanish-American War, which occurred in the 1850s, I think. So 10 years before he was a general, which makes sense because he would have been in his 60s if it was 1850s, which I think it was. I'll look that up. I should know more about the I should know a little bit more, I guess, about the nation's history. I do know a pretty good amount of history, but that timeline in the early 1800s, I'm a little weak on. I know all the main things, Louisiana Purchase, that type of thing. The presidents, I can't name every single one of them, but I can name a fair good amount of them. If you show me a picture of a president, I can usually figure out who it is. If you show me a picture of a fairly well-known general, I can usually figure out who it is. Notwithstanding how I messed up Jeb Stuart earlier. But this is PGT Beauregard. And I do believe that after the war, he became really good friends with General William Tecumseh Sherman. Or, no, wait a minute. Maybe that's somebody else I'm thinking of. But it might be, what's that other one? I can't remember his name. But it's the other one, the Johnston. Johnston is the one I actually think William Sherman became real good friends with. So much so that Johnston was one of the pallbearers when Sherman died. And he refused, and it was a very cold and nasty day, and he refused to put a hat on. And they think, but I honestly, he probably would have caught it anyway, but he came down with a flu or pneumonia or something and died within a couple of weeks after Sherman died. And they, how everybody always used to say, if you go outside and your hair's wet, you catch a cold, or you could get sick. And I think they've come to the realization that isn't quite exactly how it happens. Obviously, colds and the flu and everything else, those are viruses, and pneumonia is bacteria. And I mean, sure, if you don't treat your body well, if your immune system is beat down, probably by standing out in 40-degree weather with the rain coming down, is probably not very good for your immune system. So that could be it could have been a contributing factor, but I think he probably would have been sick fairly quickly after that anyway, and probably died fairly soon after that, because I don't think that he was in real good health at that point. European relations, 44. Theirs is 12, so we have much better relations, but that is not, well, that says federal advantage. Well, I guess that's federal advantage of everything, which the overall, the one thing that stands out is Navy tonnage, and the federal government, or the United States at this time, or the Union, is much better than the Southern, which has 0 naval tonnage. And they also have more men. They also have more loyal states. National sports a little lower here and a little higher here. But that's where I think that they're getting their advantage from, the federal advantage. Naval tonnage, men fielded, loyal states, that type of thing. And so our overall commander is PGT Beauregard, and their overall commander is Winfield Scott. Their president is, our president is Jefferson Davis. Objective description completed. Break Union morale. And it says yes. We haven't even done anything yet, but I think that flips to no pretty quickly, but I think it's because of their national morale and certain other factors. So even though it says yes, I don't think that is truly accurate at this point because we have not broken their morale at this point. We haven't even had any battles yet. I just think that right now they are definitely a little dismayed, and as we mentioned, Texas and Virginia seceding caused them to be in a slight bit of a panic. Here are some of our garrisons. Fort Morgan garrison. Fort Morgan, I do believe, is in Alabama. There is a Fort Morgan in Alabama, so I'm wondering if that's exactly it. Well, this will tell me, won't it? Show unit list. Fort Morgan. Oh, it doesn't say. Doesn't say where it is. Alabama Volunteers. Oh, so that is in Alabama because Russell's Brigade is part of the Fort Morgan garrison, I do believe. Fort Gaines. Not really sure exactly where that is. Fort Brooke is in Florida. Fort Clinch is in Florida. Fort Barrancas is in Florida. So as you can see, all of these troops are garrisons that we, as I was saying, all of the troops that we have right now on the field are garrisons. Fleets. We seem to have a pretty good amount of ships, but I doubt. What does that mean? 10%. Is it being built right now? Is that what it means? Oh, construct new ship. I don't really want to do that. How do I get out of that screen? So you can actually build new ships. I guess that's how you get out of the screen. And here are our officers. So we start off with 6 Brigadier Generals. There is Joseph Johnston. Johnston, I do believe, was the one that became good friends with Sherman Tecumseh William Tecumseh Sherman. What am I, dyslexic? I don't know. But as you can see, he is very accomplished, Joseph Johnson. His fame is renowned. His initiative. Why are these all? His initiative is passive. That seems a little strange. His leadership is exemplar. Well, see, they have like a bunch of stars, but I think they should have bad stars for some of these because mediocre administrators should have. That should be more like 1 or 2 stars. And then cunning, he's a master of mystification. That means that he can pull some stuff over. See, I think all of these are going to have. He's a rising star, Sterling Price. And then also they have all these over here. Branch of Arms Engineer, he's a veteran. West Point graduate, fame. I was hoping there would be something there. And defamed. So I'm not really sure. I wonder if defamed means that it's because he is a general. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Having failed the nation or been demoted from command, leaving this officer in command will do more harm than good for the morale of the people. His men will question his abilities, and he is considered a laughingstock in the enemy camps. Well, I wonder why that is. Everyone knows his name and deeds. Knowing he is there fighting for the nation raises spirits high. Even foreign newspapers love to write about him, and this fame makes the enemy nervous when facing him. So how could he have both of those? This officer has completed formal military studies in a military academy, making him a professional in the art of war and suitable to quickly adapt to higher command. Well, he's at Brigadier General, so So let's look at all these. Albert Sidney Johnston, he died at the Battle of Shiloh. They said that that was part of kind of several events that really cost the South any chances because he was considered to be very good. Because the attack on Shiloh, the initial attack on Shiloh, was brilliant and caught Grant and his subordinates off guard. But Grant, through his own expertise, brilliance, and cunning, was able to manage a victory out of Shiloh, and probably partly because Albert Sidney Johnston, I would think, was killed on the very first day of battle by a sharpshooter or somebody. Somebody shot him, and he died. Cheatham, Donaldson, not really sure much about him. See, I think these stars are that's a bug because in other people's games I've seen them, 3, 2, 1. If he's distinguished leader, then he would be like a 4 stars here. Good administrator, probably 3 stars. Cunning, foreseeable, that I think that means, so he's very predictable, so his cunning, it would be like 1 star, 2 stars, or very low. Fame is insignificant, so that would be 1 star as well. So, and I've seen it in other people's games where that is actually, and that's a kind of a new one. Rising star. The troops cheer when he rides past. The people tell tales of his heroic achievements. He is well noted by the enemy as well. Sterling Price. So then you have a bunch of other guys. A lot of these guys ended up becoming generals. They're colonels at this point. And a lot of these guys end up becoming generals as well. And obviously a lot of these guys as well, because there's a lot of attrition. And people obviously can be sacked from incompetence. So these are my generals. And my basically, let's see. That's not it. Officers. So who did we say? My overall commander is PGT Beauregard. That's who it was. We've already looked at production. Military is what I was looking at before. Officers. So, what do you think? I think I've talked for a very long time. And I'm just really excited about getting this game. And I haven't even actually started playing. We've actually only played 13 hours, it seems like, at this point, on February 23rd, 1861. So look at this over here. Support 39 degrees clear. What? Look how it's going up and down. I think that's going to be weather. That's got to be weather, because it says 45 degrees clear. So that probably, and that's pretty common in February in the South, is to have a very nice day that's kind of cold. It's not as cold as up north, obviously. It's not below freezing, but it is kind of cold. It's kind of chilly in the morning, and then in the, that looks like it's in that 1:27 in the afternoon. So it's a pretty cold day, but that is not abnormal in the South in February to have a fairly cold day. It goes below freezing at night, and then during the day it gets up to 40-something degrees. So that's pretty normal. Anyway, what do you think? I am excited. I think I might even do a second video today. I might play a little bit around with it offline just to see what I can do, what I'm supposed to be doing, and maybe even watch somebody else's videos, because it's daunting when you start up a brand new game if this was an Asia game, I'd be like, okay, I know exactly what's going on here. I need to do this, 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 and this. Here's my objectives. I need to block this army here. I need to do this, blah, blah, blah. I Asia games are, and that's not a knock against them. It's just I know what to do in those games, and I've always enjoyed playing those games. But this is a little different. You can and see how you can scroll in, how you can keep scrolling in. How cool is that? Down to the daggum cities even. So there's Evansville, Indiana. And just a point, an FYI for me, I lived about 40 minutes from Hopkinsville when I was a teenager. I lived right in this area, and some of you might know it. And as History Guy Gaming pointed out, Paducah's misspelled, but I'm sure they'll fix that. And even if they don't, spelling errors don't bother me. If the game is fun, I don't really care about spelling errors. That is something that has never bothered me in Asia games or this game or any game, because there are so many things that are going into a game, and so many things, spelling things that you got to check and all this. So if they miss one thing, it doesn't bother me. But Hopkinsville was about 45 minutes from where I lived, and when we went shopping, a lot of times we'd go to Hopkinsville because there was a mall there. In Bowling Green, we went there when my junior high would play in the the basketball tournament, the state basketball tournament. If you won your regionals, you'd go to Bowling Green, I think, or maybe that was where the regionals were. I was just a kid. I don't remember. And by the time I was on the team, we weren't that good. It was the teams before me that were so good. They were the ones that were going to the quarterfinals and semifinals. They never won it all, but they were going to the quarter. They were playing against junior highs, and we were in our school just went through 8th grade, but we had a lot of guys that were held back, so to speak. And so when our 8th graders were playing 9th graders, a lot of times it was basically 9th graders versus 9th graders. And that was back before they, nowadays you can't get away with doing stuff like that. But back in those days you could. If you were held back, you got to play on the team. So look how cool this is. You can zoom all the way down. That to me, that is one of the things that if you scroll down some, you start seeing roads and rail lines and rivers and things like that. That is awesome. So I'm really excited about this game. I hope you are too. And if you watch the video and like it, you can click like. If you don't like it, you can click you didn't like it. But who's going to dislike this? Seriously. I love this already. They might click dislike because they want to play, but anyway, that's the end of the video. This video, there might be more videos coming out today on this because I am that excited about this game. So see you next time, which might be in just a couple hours.